Okay, good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining us here today. My name is Doug Smith. I'm on the Office 365 product marketing team. Thrilled to be here with you today on our panel around proven customer Office 365 deployment and adoption strategies. I've been at Microsoft for 15 years, most recently in the Windows business on our Windows 10 launch, but have joined the FastTrack product marketing team. And it's great to be here with you today. It's also great to be with customers so we can get real insight from their own deployment and adoption strategies. I'm thrilled to have our guest panelists here with me on stage. They're going to talk about their organization's FastTrack deployment and also talk about the adoption strategies that they gained as a result of their deployments of Office 365. During our session today, we'll focus on both deployment and adoption. And we'll have an opportunity to both hear from our panelists and also give enough time for you to ask questions as we go through the day. Some takeaways for you to think about is certainly the benefits of our panelists got from FastTrack deployment, their adoption strategies and best practices. That's what we hope to accomplish today as we go through. So again, thanks for our panelists for being here today. Let me just come on over here and join them on stage and sit down and take a moment to introduce each other. Would love to hear a little bit about where you're from, your background, and your current role within your organization. So let's go ahead and start with Rich.
Okay, I'm Rich Kellen. I'm with Keysight Technologies. I'm headquartered in Santa Rosa, California, which is wine country for those of you that don't know California. So it's great to have a company actually headquartered there. If you haven't heard of Keysight, which most people haven't, we split off of Agilent Technologies about 3 years ago. So we're 3 years in, which is a lot of the story we'll tell today about our deployment. And prior to that, we were a split off of HP. So we're bringing with us a lot of history into a very new company.
Great. Cliff?
Yeah, sure. So good morning, everyone. I'm Clifford Kennedy. I'm from Nestlé's Architecture, Strategy, and Innovation team. I've been with Nestlé for about 21 years now. I've worked around the globe, including here in the US some years ago. Today, however, I'm based in Sydney, Australia. But with my team sitting in Switzerland, I do go backwards and forwards quite a lot. My link to today's session is that it was my team that kicked off our Office 365 journey back in 2013.
Awesome, great. So we have Andrew and John both from TalkTalk.
So good morning, everyone. I'm Andrew Dacombe. I'm the Director of Quality Systems for TalkTalk. We're a quad play operator in the UK. I've been with TalkTalk now about 18 months, and I have sort of the enviable task, I think, of trying to make our colleagues' experience more flexible, next generation working. Office 365 has formed a big part of that. My background part of that is telecoms. So I worked for Telefonica previously. So I've been in telecoms, media for most of my career.
Awesome.
Hi, I'm John Gaskell. I am the Technical Program Manager for Office 365 at TalkTalk. I was brought on board to oversee the delivery of the project into production, as well as manage the relationships with the partners that were assisting us. I've been in IT around 22 years, which makes me just feel really old. Most of the time in global telcos, although I did dip into retail for the past couple of years.
Awesome, great. So again, welcome again to our panelists. Also want to put together some themes that you'll hear about today in the session. So up on the screen, you'll see we're talking a lot about how the change in the IT pro is happening and kind of their experiences with that in the company. Also on how business productivity is really increased by Office 365 and the value associated with it. And then how also is the organization transforming in their experiences working across stakeholders as they deployed Office 365. So let's just jump in with questions. So I'd be interested to hear, Rich, your environment around Office 365, what you're deploying, kind of your pre-deployment of Office 365. You have a great story around security and maintenance and IT costs and things of that sort. So can you start us off by talking about the pre-deployment?
Sure. Well, as I mentioned, I'm coming off of a couple splits and from larger companies down to a smaller company. So today we're about 12,000 employees, about 25,000 clients. So as you split off of companies, you bring a lot of legacy junk with you. And as you set up a new company at the same time, you're buying new things, thinking about what you need, and so on and so forth. So as I took over the team, and I run what we call end-user computing and collaboration, we wanted to look at how we could simplify our environment, make our users more productive, but also big, heavy focus on security. We're also government contractors and so on and so forth. So we looked out on the market. We, of course, talked to Google and talked to Microsoft, and the O365 platform really had what we wanted, which was an integrated platform, a lot of security components with it, and we moved. It was very, very worthwhile for us.
So around Office 365 and Pro Plus, I think you're able to kind of merge together OneDrive with that. What was that experience like?
Yeah, so for us, it was pretty simple, believe it or not. We actually, right at the split, went with Pro Plus and OneDrive before we went to a full O365 platform. And so that migration actually went pretty well. Our account team, FastTrack, at the time, were extremely helpful. We thought we were going to go have to buy a bunch of consultants to help us out with this. And you know, the platform was mature before we got to it. And just went really, really well. The security components that we brought online, we were able to shut off some things really fast. It's good.
So Cliff, I think just like Rich described, you had maybe a similar experience at Nestle, and I'd be interested to hear a little bit more about how you standardized your productivity apps.
Sure. So at Nestle, our IT division had already gone out and optimized and rationalized a lot of our technology by this stage. So I mentioned in 2013, that's when we pulled the plug to switch. And so for us, it was about looking at new opportunities. So, you know, we had all the IT infrastructure sitting in data centers. Our Exchange was already optimized. Our SharePoint was already optimized in regional data centers. But what we were starting to see with our user base, our users in our business, they were going out and selecting their own tools. You know, they're going down that path a lot of us, I'm sure, have seen with shadow IT. And so we understood why they were doing it. It was a very organic thing. A lot of industry people were doing it. But it wasn't in a way that we felt we could be compliant or secure. You know, would these services stand up to data privacy and other concerns that we had? So for us, it meant that we needed to rethink the way that we were approaching our, you know, digital transformation journey. And so at Nestle, we'd already put together a plan around what we wanted to do for that journey. And Office 365 was just a component of that. So we didn't treat it as something separate. For us, we then had to look at, okay, but what do we do first? So for us, the real starting point was Exchange. So we moved around 300,000 mailboxes over a period of time to Office 365. And then since then, we've looked at how do we bring the other services and workloads on board. And so we then moved to SharePoint and so on.
Great, thanks. And so now let's move to TalkTalk. Andrew, what about your experience around pre-deployment?
So our experience is very similar to that of Rich and Cliff, really, in terms of the challenges we focus. So TalkTalk had actually grown through acquisitions. It was a lot of smaller companies cobbled together under a banner. So when we started a piece of work, we uncovered some quite surprising issues that we had and challenges we had to face into. For example, we have 2,500 employees, but we had 40,000 mailboxes. We'd never deleted a mailbox. We had 25 mail domains, some of which we didn't own, some of which were full of spelling mistakes. So we had to go around in the business and find owners for some of these domains. Probably about 20% of the calls into our internal help desk every week were just related to people having problems filling up their inbox and their email. Our link platform was never optimized for what we wanted to do, so people couldn't do basic things like desktop sharing, other challenges like that. So the demand was there within the business. So really what we had to do was start tackling this. We uncovered a few other surprising things along the way, like we still had 900 people using BlackBerries. I didn't realize anyone used BlackBerries. We actually had 900 people using BlackBerries, and we had to find phones, find a way for getting them off BlackBerries. And actually, I'm very pleased to say next week when I get back, we will actually decommission the BES server, which will be a very happy day as far as I'm concerned. But generally, 900 users on BlackBerries was not something I expected to have to face into as we were migrating to 365. No. Anything, John, I've missed?
Yeah, so we had a number of unknowns going into mass migration, which, you know, we're not unique. Every company will have these unknowns. I think ours were predominantly caused by legacy decisions that weren't managed properly in production environments. The big one for us was around public folders. We had tens of thousands of them and about 40 terabytes of data, and all because somebody in the distant past decided that we should be using public folders instead of shared mailboxes. So all of them were mail enabled, and we weren't going to migrate public folders because, quite frankly, they should just go away and die. So, but we also had, sorry, if you're controversial, there we go, first round of applause.
First.
Now I've lost my track. But the whole point was we didn't know what they're being used for. So some of them were used for customer communication, and because there were so many of them, we just couldn't do a proper audit. You know, it would have taken us 6-9 months, and by the time we got to the end of it, it would have been wrong. So we sort of identified the key ones that we knew were customer facing, and we converted them in advance. And then we basically got everybody ready with a process that once we migrate, this is what you need to do if you have a public folder that you need to convert to a shared mailbox. So everyone was geared up, ready for what would be, we thought, an enormous problem. Turned out it wasn't. Turned out after the migration, 20 people asked for it to be converted from a public folder to a shared mailbox, which is fantastic, you know. But what it did highlight is that, much like the mailbox situation, there's probably a lot of legacy data in those folders that's not being used, and we just have no way of identifying it. So it forced us to look at our data retention policy and then start to enforce that on public folders and put the onus back on the people to get rid of the content, or we would. We also found 80 file sharing, syncing tools throughout the business that our colleagues were using to share data with third parties. Now, it wasn't a malicious point of view. They weren't trying to leak data, but the simple fact was that IT weren't giving them the tools to do their job, weren't giving them a way to share these files securely. So they did what everybody does and just found a way around it. Unfortunately, from a security perspective, that was no good for us, because once that data is uploaded to a third-party platform, it's gone. You've got no control over it whatsoever. You may as well just publish it on Facebook. When somebody leaves, you can't shut down the account. You know, you've got no visibility. So it was really critical that we start to look to shut those platforms down.
Yeah, and that was all related to Dropbox, right?
Yeah, this led us to a couple of things. One of the big things we had to do was actually realize that a lot of the policies we had in the business were just not fit for purpose. We had never really had a data retention policy that said, this is what you do with a mailbox when somebody leaves. This is how you use cloud file sharing tools. This is what you should consider. This is what you should do. And it actually came to light one day when, and I think Rich, we were talking the other day, he's had a similar knock on the door from Dropbox. Dropbox came in one day, did you know you've got 600 corporate TalkTalk accounts registered with Dropbox? I was like, no. So 600 accounts, 500,000 files a week that you're just disappearing up into the cloud. I happen to be one of those people, and some of that's 500,000 files a week with the photos on my phone, other things like that. But they came in, and for the bargain price of something like £200,000 a year, I could sign a 3-year contract, and they would tell me who these 600 people were, tell me what the data was, and give me the ability to manage this. I was like, thank you very much, good offer. What you've actually just done there is actually highlighted the need for us to do 365 even quicker, to focus on OneDrive for Business as one of the key workloads we focused on in the first one. And actually what we've done with that is we've done that, and we've now gone back to the business and said, we are going to start turning the screw on other file sharing tools. So by the end of this year, we would have switched off all other file sharing tools. So if people need them reactivated, it will be done by exception, because some of the third parties we work with will use a different tool. But actually, by the end of this year, we will switch off access to anything other than OneDrive for Business. It's just a security issue, and Dropbox, not surprisingly, have stopped phoning me every few months asking me if I'm going to sign a £200,000 a year contract with them.
Yeah, and that's the reason we decided to deploy OneDrive as one of the core workloads, because it fixed an immediate business problem.
Okay, awesome, great. Thanks for the story. So back to Rich, talking a little bit about pre-deployment environment. Tell us who was involved in your deployment journey, kind of how it went.
Yeah, so deployment for us was interesting as we looked out onto the landscape of all the different things we had. Okta, Cisco AMP, Jive, all sorts of things that were going to roll into the O365 platform, which was the whole reason we were doing it. So we actually had a really good session at one of Microsoft's EBCs where they introduced us to their teams. The FastTrack teams did a presentation and some others, as well as a couple other partners that that Microsoft partners with very closely. So our entire implementation was primarily done with FastTrack for email. Almost all of email was FastTrack. The strategy of SharePoint was done by another partner, but all the implementation will be FastTrack. And then we had a security partner helping us with things like Intune and certificates and Azure AD and some other things. But it was amazing for us, the actual deployment. Email was, we moved 15,000 mailboxes in 5 weeks. Users would, FastTrack would migrate the mailboxes on the weekend. Users would come in on a Monday or Tuesday when we actually did the conversion, and they just popped their Outlook up, and after about 3 minutes of doing a couple little buttons, they didn't even really know where their email was coming from anymore. They're just the same Outlook. We were already on 2016, 2013, 2016. So for the users, it was nothing. Now, as we deploy through the other things, and we're still going quite a bit, most of our Jive to Yammer is completed and some other stuff, but our milestones are interesting because our milestones, if you look at our implementation timeline, are financial milestones. When we can turn off this contract, when we can turn off this contract, when we can turn off this contract. So we've timed by those most critical contracts to focus on those things as we're doing it all in parallel. So it's really been successful and really been helpful.
Awesome, thanks for sharing that. Cliff, I guess you had a pretty massive Exchange migration yourself at Nestle. Can you talk a little bit about the scheduling coordination around all your countries and how kind of that rollout went?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's probably a good idea that I share a bit of the size of Nestle. So Nestle operates in over 150 countries globally. We have over 1,600 physical locations. We have 460 factories globally, and a workforce of about 315,000. So that's just give you an idea of the data points that we operate at. Now, when we looked at migrating, as I mentioned earlier, we wanted to get started with Exchange. It was a well understood data set for us because it was already existing in our 3 data centers. So we felt that it was a good way for us to get our feet wet. So like our colleagues on here on the stage, we also worked with FastTrack. And it was an interesting discussion when we got started with these guys because it was new for them as well to deliver that service. This was sort of very early in the game. And so 2 of the biggest challenges that we had when we spoke to them was one around scheduling, because they actually wanted at the time like a 21-day advance notice. They wanted to know upfront, 21 days, which users needed to move. And of course, operating in a business, and all of your business would be the same. How do you know when your users are going to be on site at a particular time or not traveling and not dealing with any of these other aspects that might prevent them from moving a mailbox? So that became a real blocking point for us. When we eventually got that sorted out, we got it down to about 4 or 5 days, but we actually were able to achieve that we could pull a mailbox out of a migration right up to like the last few hours. We managed to get that put in place. The other point that we struggled with was then the enormity of just trying to move 300,000 mailboxes. How do you get all of these countries aligned to then have this mailbox moved at a particular day and time? And so at the time, FastTrack didn't provide any mechanism. All FastTrack were taking from us was, at the time it was a CSV file. It eventually became an Excel file, which has all of the fields that you meant to fill out. But I'm sure you can imagine nobody's going to sit there and want to type all this stuff out. So we ended up working with MCS, and we built a front end to that. And that front end allowed us to suck all of our Active Directory data in, so we could take in all of our users. We knew where those users were. We were able to then delegate the role of each country to say, okay, you look after your people that you need to migrate. And then that fed into then the scheduling aspect. It gave us a way to then filter it down to all of our markets where they were more intimate with the business. They knew who they needed to engage with. And so in the end, that's how we then started moving. But of course, in the size of our organization, just moving data out of our data centers is not always that straightforward. You've got like multiple layers of technology that are in play. So even when we got started, we had this idea that we're going to hit maybe 10, 15,000 mailboxes a week, but it took us actually about 6 to 8 weeks before we were even able to achieve that. I think our first migration had about 200 mailboxes. That's all we could push through. And there was a number of reasons for that. Maybe it was a network card on our end that wasn't set to the correct mode. Maybe it was a firewall rule that was blocking it.
Some throttling issues.
There's some throttling issues. So even when data's going into the service, Microsoft has set throttles so they can ensure that they're delivering service to each of you as well, not just us. And so it's important when data's going in, they have these thresholds. And so we had to even get that finely tuned so that we could be sending data at the same time from 3 different data centers so that we could reach our velocity of moving those mailboxes. So that were some of the challenges that we had. But it was a great journey for us. I mean, it wasn't like FastTrack or Microsoft weren't interested in having the conversation. we were able to sit down and kind of work through each of these points so that we could get unblocked and get our mail into Office 365.
Awesome, awesome. Great story. Thank you for that. So Andrew, a little bit from you about your deployment approach, and then we'll go to John to talk about FastTrack and how that related.
So we had some challenges in that we actually had a massive demand for the business for everything. So the moment we announced we're doing Office 365, people wanted Power BI, Sway, Delve, everything. I wanted all. We actually looked at it and took a step back and went, what are the burning issues and burning challenges in the business we need to address? Mail, 20% of the workforce every week are having trouble with the size of their mailbox. A link platform that's not optimized. File sharing capacity and file sharing tools, that demands there. We're using 80, 90 different tools. Security are all over us to plug it and try and get some control around it. Whose device it was, we didn't know what the device was it jailbroken, was it not jailbroken, anything like that. So really early on we decided we're just going to focus on 4 things. And we did that for 2 reasons. One, it made migration a lot simpler for us. Focus on 4 things and do it well. And the second one, we needed to, as I think as IT, to buy ourselves some credibility. Typically, IT are not good at delivering things. They're good at doing the technical side, they're not so good at the people side, the what's in it for me. So we really stepped back, partnered with HR and made this an HR-led program. And actually we then, by doing this, the focus became people, services, what's in it for you, rather than technology. And that was echoed really clearly when we used to meet as a team. When I met with my team, we would talk about a 1 gigabyte mailbox, 10 gig, OneDrive for business. When we went out and spoke to the users in the business, we never talked like that. We talked about more mail capacity than you will ever need. A file sharing tool that would give you all the space and the capacity you need to access your documents from anywhere you want. We really try to keep, we'll talk the techie stuff when we're in the room here. When we're out with our colleagues, we'll talk about the services, the what's in it for you. And by doing that and resisting a lot of demand for the business, people just go, there's only a small team, just give us Power BI. We won't tell anyone. We're like, no, really strong. We decided we're doing this we're doing it for a reason, and all the way through we stuck to that. And what that actually meant was when we migrated, the funny thing was I had more calls coming to the help desk when we migrated Mailbox from people saying, I've not seen any change. Was my migration okay last night? Then actually phoned in, and when I think you broke my email, there were no help desk calls logged from anyone saying my email doesn't work after migration. Whereas about 200 people phoned in going, I don't see any change. Was everything okay? Which, that gives you an idea of where sort of IT had come from to where we went as we were doing this. What's that now given us is the right, we've earned the respect of the business and the right to be able to start to say, as we move on to the next phase of, we're going to do Power BI, we're going to do Sway, we're going to do Delve, we're going to do all of these tools, we're going to take that same approach, put it out there as a what's in it for people, rather than just a free-for-all, throw it out there and get people to figure out how to make it work.
Yeah, I mean, we also, we had more calls than I ever thought we'd get, where the answer was, read your comms. You know, and no matter how good you try and make your comms, chances are people aren't going to read it. So that was a huge number of calls with read your comms. And I think, as Andrew said, the narrowing it to 4 key services, all of which solved a current business problem, gave us the ability to focus and deliver them really, really well, rather than doing 10 things and doing them averagely. And that brought us credibility in the business and has now allowed us to go on and deliver additional functionality based on our license. And people are so much more receptive because the first stage went very, very well. And they're eager to accept new service rather than if we'd have screwed it up.
Totally. And how did FastTrack play a role in that from the beginning?
Yeah, so I'm really impressed with what FastTrack did. And, I'm not just saying that because I'm up here. But No. So I've engaged with FastTrack a number of times, and what I saw this time was a significant improvement in terms of their ability, their flexibility, the scope of what they can help us with. So it was more than mailbox migrations, which were great. You can take that pain away from me. That's brilliant. But it was in terms of things like best practice and just general guidance and adoption, and even down to helping us with a couple of obscure Intune settings that we couldn't figure out. I think they provided a huge range of services to us. And part of the problem you have is that I don't think you tell enough people about that range of services. I get that it's free. And it's brilliant that it's free. But you need to tell people what FastTrack can deliver. And I don't think Microsoft do a particularly good job of getting that message out there. I think that we found out about this on a phone call with our FastTrack engineers. Yeah. Oh, what? You can help us deploy Pro Plus as well? Brilliant. Yeah. You know, you want to know that in advance.
Yeah.
So you can plan your engagement with FastTrack. Totally. I also think there's some stuff I'd like to see them do some more. I'd like to see them do Skype migrations. I'd like to see them do assigning licenses. I'd like to see them do mailbox config. So auditing, legal hold, things like that. Because there was a lot of stuff for our IT pros to do post-migration, even with the FastTrack engagement. And I just want to take that sort of junk away from our IT guys. But I think there's two points I'd like to share, if that's okay, where I think they added some real value to us as a project. And the first one is day one of my mass migration. And, you know, having a bit of a rough night. Migration's supposed to start at 2 o'clock in the morning. Our IT guys are supposed to jump in at 4 and check them. And it'd been 9 months of effort that led to this 1 week of activity.
And you were sleeping nicely, right?
Oh yeah, I was out like a light.
Well, I was sleeping nicely. John was doing it all for me.
I get a phone call at 5 to 4 in the morning from my IT guy, and immediately it's like, oh Jesus, you know, what's gone wrong? Pick up the phone. He says, John, we've got a problem with the migrations. Oh, okay, right, okay. He said, it's been 2 hours and only 5 have completed. So immediately you think, oh my God, okay, what's gone wrong? What can I do? What can I do? And before I can come up with an answer, he goes, but I've got FastTrack on the phone. They called me before I was supposed to sign in. They were monitoring the migration. They realized they weren't completing as fast as they should. They've identified the setting they need to change. All we need is your approval to make that change. It's like, yes, make it. Just calm down. Why'd you phone me? I could have had 2 hours more sleep. Make the blooming change. And then as soon as we did that, they all started flooding through. And you know, so that was great in that respect. And the next one is a post-migration. And I didn't expect this from FastTrack because I saw them very much as a, we'll do your migration, we'll get you to that point, and then you're off. But we got a phone call from them a couple of weeks ago, and they said, we've noticed that you've had a spike in users failing to join Skype conferences. All right, you know, okay. And they said, we've had a look, and we think it's because you haven't added an IP range to your firewall for the link edge servers in 365. So of course we've done that. So I checked, and we hadn't. And we've missed one. So what it highlighted was one was a hole in our process. You know, but actually they continue to support you post-migration. You know, and that's something that I would have spent, or the team would have spent a lot of time troubleshooting, trying to find that one missing, you know, IP range. So I think they're really crucial. And what they're doing as well is now helping us simplify our IT estate. Yeah, and I think that's crucial. Migration to Office 365 is not an end state. Yeah, it's a stepping stone. Because if you don't start to decommission your legacy platform and shut down your on-premise kit, you haven't made anybody's life easier. All you've done is add another platform, you know, for them to manage. And that's not what this is about. It's about removing the mundane, removing the patching, things like that. And FastTrack are helping us with that as well.
Awesome. That's a great story, I think, both Andrew about the change of IT Pro and John around FastTrack. So this section really is more about kind of what have we learned around the changes for the IT Pro. And so maybe Cliff, starting with you, can you talk a little bit about how that's changed at Nestle?
Yeah, so with us starting so early, we moved Exchange. It took about 6 to 9 months, and then we sort of started tackling SharePoint. These were what we term the classic workloads. They were well understood when you had to operate them on-prem, so it wasn't a big IT Pro change. Sure, the scope of the role changed, but for us already having that optimizations in our data centers, they were operating, you know, with 0.5 of a resource and all these sorts of things. So it meant that just because I shifted it to the cloud, it wasn't like I got to eliminate resources. But what it did do is actually open up doors for our IT pros to look at other interests that they may have around other technology that comes with Office 365. And so we've started to look at, you know, how these people can sort of fit into other areas of support and even flattening some of the support so they're actually able to look at the different technologies and trying to work together. You know, you've got a lot of technologies that are now coming in Office 365 that are starting to, you know, interweave into one another. You take Office 365 groups that sort of covers a number of the different, what were classic workloads, and now kind of interconnecting. And so you can't sort of just create, you know, an Exchange support team and a SharePoint support team. These guys are now needing to collaborate more. And so we're starting to look at how those touch points happen and how we can better optimize our support so that going forward, as we see the product set changing, we're ready to sort of support our business going forward.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And so, talking a little bit more, John, around IT Pro experiences also at TalkTalk, kind of what that change was like.
Yeah, so with something like this, I think in a lot of places there's that friction with the IT team, because a lot of people, this is their platform. They manage the Exchange platform, they manage the Link platform, and there's me coming along and going, yeah, well, that's going. So you've got to sell it to them the right way, and they are crucial to your success. Yeah, and they're crucial post-success. So this is not about headcount reduction. An Office 365 migration is not a reason to reduce headcount. What it allows you guys to do, as the guys were saying, is actually focus on more interesting stuff, more stuff that's beneficial for their career, that will take them forward. It takes away from the being up at 3 o'clock in the morning, patching servers, troubleshooting, and when they don't reboot after a patch, all that nonsense that you just don't want. The simple fact is we're a telco, we're not an IT company. So why would I want my guys doing that? Let them do stuff that's more productive for the business and advances everything, rather than just looking after a server.
You touched upon just their own training and their own ability to learn.
Yeah,
That's
and their
great.
personal journey.
Totally. Awesome. So moving from more now deployment to adoption, and starting also with Rich here, I'd be interested to kind of talk a little bit about your adoption story and thinking through about kind of the workloads that you've adopted within the company.
Yeah, so we've all talked about the email. Email adoption's easy, right? Everybody lives in your email. You all are sitting there looking at it all day long, right? For us, we had to find some of these other things to get people interested in the platform, not just email, and understand what that is. We're a large engineering company. We have over 6,000 engineers. So more than half of our employees are engineers. And every other year we run this big engineering conference we call KTC, Keysight Technical Conference. And it's designed to bring in papers and different things and collaborate from around the world, from our 150 sites around the world, all coming up to this one big event that happens at the end of the year. So they do all this collaboration for a year. So when they started talking to us about what should we be doing to collaborate, how should we be doing this, we have Slack, we have Confluence, we have all these different things, and we're like, hey, wait, Microsoft just came out with this thing called Teams, and as we were implementing, so we were hearing about it, and we pushed our account team to get us on early release of Teams, because we wanted to get these guys and ladies in, sorry, these engineers in fast to the Teams environment, because if we let them do this big conference on something else, we were going to lose. From that point forward, they'd be using Slack or whatever else. And so we got them on Teams. They started loving it. Of course, it was very early for Teams, so they started complaining about this color of this button's really weird, or it's Microsoft-y or some other things. But
they were kicking the tires.
They were kicking the tires for Microsoft and for us. So, but it was extremely successful. Well, at the same time we were doing this conference and this planning and all this other adoption, we bought 3 companies. One company was on O365 already, which was great, and the other 2 weren't. But we wanted very early on for that company, even before integration, to be able to interact with us for this conference. We wanted to, because they're a bunch of software engineers as well, and that's what we bought. So we needed them to get access to Teams. Well, I think Satya just announced a couple weeks ago that you have external sharing. Well, we heard the rumors and we got access to that pre-released and early, so that we could get, because they're still external to us. So we started external sharing with them. So we've got probably about 10% of the company already using Teams pretty actively. It's one of those things they find and they start to use. Other tools, as they see it, I think you talked about, everybody wants to use Sway, and all these other things. So they go click the button and they start seeing, what is this? And everything. So adoption at a technical company isn't that difficult. We're fairly tech savvy and people want to use different things, but we want them to use the things in here now. So as I said, we can start to shut off all these other things. So.
Awesome. So Cliff, thinking a little bit about Nestle and the adoption strategies you guys use, it's great to hear.
Sure. So at Nestle, given our scale, we really had to rethink the way we're going to approach this. Some of my colleagues here on stage have mentioned, traditionally we've always focused on doing these things as an IT delivery, and we don't always put the employee first. And so one of the things that takes me back to earlier in our conversation today that we did was we had this vision for our digital workplace. And so we backed that by putting in place a team. We call our employee digital workplace team. And these people sit under our HR organization, and they're focused on trying to deliver a message that relates more to the end user and not that traditional way of delivery that we've done in the past. So that was sort of the first thing that we did right out of the gate. To support that, we then looked at different ways that we could actually connect with the employees. And so we've had different things, including what we call our collaboration boost, which was where we actually did stand-up events at a number of our locations around the globe, where we invited employees to actually stop by our own internal booths where we were running Office 365 experiences. You know, how do I use a mobile in Office 365? How do I co-author in Office 365? Things that the user didn't get to experience on premise. We also used it as a showcase, and it goes back to that whole shadow IT challenge that we've all experienced. A lot of our employees are selecting things that they think will actually make their lives better, and quite often they just don't know that Office 365 perhaps has something similar or even the same. And so we used it as an opportunity to say, hey, have you seen this? Have you heard about this? And we found it a really beneficial thing that we did over a period of a couple of days all around the world. It was all very well coordinated to ensure that we got this message out. Since then, we've backed that by putting in place our digital champions, if you like. And these are people that are actually sitting out in the business. Some of them are just technically savvy, others are more in the business, but just have a real interest in supporting and helping people. And so we've created that community of support so that as we're now introducing new technologies, we actually use them as a channel to try and help us get all of the organization on board, because we want to make sure that everybody gets the most out of Office 365. There are just so many tools that are coming, tools, services, and features. And the amount that comes out every month, even we struggle to keep up within IT to understand what's happening. We want to make sure that our end users are not being overloaded either. We want to make sure we can break it down so that it's more, they can relate to it better as well, so that they can sort of maximize the experience.
That's awesome. We've also seen the onset of champions out there in the organization that really helps. So it's great to hear about that.
We're using them as well.
Yeah.
They do make a big difference.
Yeah, totally. So moving on to sort of the theme around kind of improved business productivity, both John and Andrew here, I'd be interested to hear a little bit about how you guys have enabled business productivity across TalkTalk and kind of the strategies around that helped.
So Office 365 formed part of a wider kind of review I ran of looking at what we call enterprise IT and enterprise applications, which is starting to funnel down from maybe, you can imagine, 20 to 30 applications, which you use a very thin strip of, and starting to move down to actually, if we can move to 5 or 6 corporate applications and use them 70, 80% and get the true value out of them. And an example would be Power BI. So Power BI Pro will allow us to switch off, I think, 5 or 6 data reporting tools. There's 5 or 6 contracts we can get rid of. There's 5 or 6 contracts we're not paying for. There's 5 or 6 different tools we don't need to support as we start to move forward. And we can actually simplify it down, and we get one tool, and then people can start to become true subject matter experts in it. And that's really key. And again, OneDrive for Business has allowed us to get rid of 80 or 90 file sharing tools that we had in the business. So we did it for that. There were certain things that we just said to people, you are moving. So mail, there were a few people like, no, I want to stay on premise. Like, they really, trust me, you don't want to stay on premise. Because there will come a point when we will switch off the Exchange server, so you are moving. So we've done that. We've really, really focused on the sort of next generation ways of working kind of thing. So we were undergoing a massive change within TalkTalk at the time. We were just moving into fabulous new offices in Salford Keys, where we were really starting to push flexible working, all of those tools, all of those capabilities. So we really had this story that Office 365 is the foundation. It underpins what we want, how we want the business to be in the future, how we want you to work in the future. There has been pushback. Our TV team were massive users of Slack. They were like, if we don't use Slack, our productivity will drop 90%. Lo and behold, they've moved to Planner and Teams, and productivity hasn't actually nosedived. Again, we've switched off Slack. The tools we replaced it with now actually sit behind the AD. They're more secure, they're more collaborative. From the help desk perspective, and this is really key. When you think, I've only got 6 people on my help desk to support 2,500 people. If they've got to know the ins and outs of 40, 50 tools, they're going to have lots of knowledge, some tiny knowledge. So colleague experience is going to be really, really poor if we're not careful. So starting to consolidate tools down has actually meant that our help desk, we're upskilling the help desk, we're upskilling desktop support. We now run every morning, we have a 2-hour walk up and wait session. So desktop support, so no longer logging a ticket, just rock up, wait, grab a coffee, and the guys will see you. And we started to change this way people work. And actually this whole flexible way, these new technologies have actually been embraced by the business. There's a few people saying no, and I think a bit like Rich was saying, we're not going to be able to switch all of these things off right away, because if I've got a contract with Business Objects which runs for 3 years, I'm not going to switch it off and keep paying the contract for 3 years, but we will start a migration plan that says any new reporting is built in Power BI, and then in the background we'll slowly migrate everything from Business Objects to Power BI. So at the point in the future, we will just start to switch things off, and we're already starting to look at where do we go next. Enterprise voice, autopilot looks really, really exciting from a desktop perspective. Starting to say, where is this new technology? And Teams, I think, is going to be the really big one for us. And we're at the early days of Teams at the moment. Teams is going to really change our business.
That's awesome. Great.
Yeah, and I think we're driving adoption in a number of strategies. I think the champions are key, and it's important that they're not IT folk. You know, your IT folk will get on it anyway. Yeah. But these are
relatable, right?
Relatable people. And these are just normal business folk. Right. And some of them have got an interest in, like you said, in technology, but they're really good. I think the other thing that we did was had a very, very clear and concise communication plan, and that was critical. Yeah. And as I mentioned before, it's not about facts and figures. Yeah. Because nobody cares. Yeah. It's about why, what's better for you. You know, I think when you start to look at adoption of things like OneDrive for Business, I think that's one of the easier ones. I mean, Exchange obviously easy because you just move them. But OneDrive, I think, falls into 3 main categories. You get the first lot who, because of the explanation, just understand it and want to be more productive and want that ability to move document from place to place without emailing it or sticking it on a USB key and worrying about which is the latest version. So you get them, the early adopters, and then you get sort of the group of people, which are the biggest group really, that you deploy Office 2016 to. And you change the default save location from being a C drive or a network share to OneDrive, and that just gets a whole host of people who just don't care and just press save. And then you're left with a small few at the end who just insist on saving it to a network share. And my answer to that is you just make it read-only. You give them plenty of warning, and you say you're going to move, and you try to, don't get me wrong, you don't want to do that. It's not. You want people to use this technology because it's great and it makes their life better. But like the few people left on BlackBerry, there's got to be a point where you say, no, we need to shut this down. You're 2 people holding up, shutting down this enormous platform
for the company.
So you've got to go. And that's when you have to take the hard approach, unfortunately.
Cool.
And we saw some massive stats. Our Link platform was far from optimal. I think we saw it in the first 6 weeks of having Skype for Business fully deployed. We were getting 25 to 30% growth in usage week on week for the first 6 weeks. We're now 6 months in, and we're still getting double-digit increase in usage week on week on Skype for Business at the moment. When you look at it and say we are pretty well optimal as far as we can go in the business in terms of all the people who would use it for the way they are using it are starting to use it, and now we're starting to get granular. When we look at it, how many of those start off as a text IM chat, which then becomes voice, which maybe then put a second or third person in and everything else. But that did mean, like on the first day when everyone walked into a new office, we gave them new USB headsets. We had actually gone back and really started to say, it's not just a case of going, there you are, ta-da. You've got to start looking and saying, what technology do people need? So we invested, we gave them good 60, 70 pound headsets, good quality headsets that were going to last, that were going to be robust, that people felt that were comfortable if you were using it, rather than just going and buying a cheap one or forgetting about it. And we've given lots of personal speakers out, those kind of things. So if we're doing flexible work and want people to work in a different way, giving the tools one thing, giving them the ability to use the tool is a very different thing. And we focus a lot on giving people to use the ability at one end, then the other end, as John says, there was some tough love of going, we are switching Exchange off, file shares are becoming read-only, BlackBerry will be decommissioned, because, as you say, we've probably shut 60, 70 servers down now as part of our migration in just our phase 1. And there could, had we not been that tough love to maybe 15, 20 people, we would still have 60, 70 servers there.
not what you-
Some of them running
right.
1 or 2 people, which is just crazy.
Totally,
They'll never run out
totally.
of storage space if there's 2 people on a server farm.
They're never
But,
moving at that point.
yeah.
I think a lot of it comes from confidence in the platform as well.
Yeah.
I think certainly with something like Skype, it doesn't take many bad experience. Well, it takes one bad experience.
Yeah.
And then you just stop using it. You know, I think Skype struggles from that stigma, and I think moving it to 365 on a far more stable platform really helped, because people realised we made a kind of a big thing about it when we moved, that we're moving from Link to Skype to try and do a bit of a rebrand.
Yeah.
And then people gave it another go and then got confidence in the product because it worked reliably every single time.
Yeah, they can expect it. Awesome.
Yeah.
So continuing on with business transformation. So Rich, talk a little bit about your journey on business transformation.
Well, interestingly enough, as everybody said, it shouldn't be an IT project, right?
Yeah.
O365, the things we all do here up here is we're responsible for end users and making people more productive and those kinds of things. So,
And with all the companies acquired too, right? So that's the challenge.
yeah, which is always fun. How do you get them in fast, and how do you get them in? And we're dealing with a lot of that daily. So we had a really good, we got our senior staff, our CEO staff in right from the beginning. You know, we knew this was going to be disruptive. I think the word we haven't been using is it is a disruptive thing to move from all these on-prem disjointed things into an O365 environment. But once you're there, you know, so I can still remember the email I sent to my CEO staff. I said, look, we have a plan, but that doesn't mean you're not going to get 6,000 emails from people saying something's, oh, they broke me, they did this, they did that. But we had a lot of really good support, went really, really, really smooth. But as I guess you asked about the business transformation, though, specifically, we've seen the software companies and people we buy adopt the cloud much faster than the on-prem environment. It makes us look like we are what we're creating, and I think that's probably one of the biggest things about it. We don't look old anymore. We were an old past environment, but now it's easy to bring young kids in and say,
and you can grow now.
and grow
right.
and do those things that we couldn't in the past.
Awesome. So, and Cliff as well around Nestle and the business transformation.
Yeah, so just feeding off what Rich was saying, I mean, that point about the younger generation now looking at your organization, it was very easy for them to look at Nestle and go, oh, look, you know, you're very stale, your technology is very old. You know, I talked about that optimization around Exchange and SharePoint, but those products were sitting at the 2010 editions at the time, and yet here we were in 2013. They weren't able to do things like external sharing. So, you know, when you think about then OneDrive and the capabilities around external sharing and collaboration, SharePoint, you weren't able to do the level of customization and deliver, you know, really business transforming sites that we're able now to achieve in SharePoint Online. I mean, Nestle's going through a fair bit of change at the moment, and so, you know, we've got a lot of process renovation that's going on. And so we've really just embraced SharePoint Online to help sort of drive that. And it's not just from the tool driving it, it's the users really embracing it, putting in place business processes around that tool set that sort of really enabled these employees to really focus then on what they're trying to do, the business problem they're trying to solve. And so, you know, taking the technology out of the equation a little bit, you know, and removing some of the previous friction that they were getting. I mean, something like sharing out of SharePoint on-prem was just near impossible for us unless we were prepared to, you know, give them a local ID, give them VPN access, all of these things that we all struggle with on-premise. That all gets unlocked when you go to Office 365, being that it's an internet-facing service. And so that freedom is really just transformed the way our business thinks about collaborating with partners. I'm sure everyone in this room, you know, you've all got partners that you work with. Nobody works in isolation. There's another partner that supports you. There's customers and consumers that you need to connect with. And those were the things that we definitely were struggling with before Office 365.
Great. So, so speaking on kind of what's coming up next for all of you, it'd be great to kind of, as we kind of go around, talk a little bit about your focus areas that's kind of around the corner as you think about this. And so we'll start, Rich, we'll just keep going around.
Yeah, so I've already talked about email and Teams. Probably the next big fun one that we're kind of going through. We've been Jive users for a number of years. We probably have about 5,000 fairly active users on Jive. If you don't know what Jive is and you're an O365 person, it's Yammer. so we're migrating the content that was in our Jive environment into Yammer because we don't want our users to be stuck and have to do all that migration. But interestingly enough, we turned on, all the tools, and all of a sudden we had hundreds of users already in Yammer. Everybody just immediately went to it, and it's been an interesting thing to watch. And we're trying not to control it and restrict it, but it's really been an interesting mix of professional interaction and collaboration in Yammer, as well as personal interaction. I'll say personal professional. I kind of stalk people. I'm not really a Facebook stalker. I do use Facebook, but I've been stalking people on Yammer, and it's really kind of fun because we have these interesting groups over in China and some other locations, and you get to watch all their get-togethers and the pictures of their dinners and what they're eating and stuff on Yammer and our corporate environment. But at the same time, we do have all these development teams doing that interaction, almost using it much like Teams, from a thing. So. Yammer is probably the next big one. We're moving all of our on-prem SharePoints into the cloud now. We moved those systems that you were just mentioning that did our external interaction, eRoom and some other things. Those were first so that we could keep those things running. So it's all about turning off all those old things, and getting the new capabilities. So.
Yeah, awesome. So continuing on, Cliff, what's up next for Nestle?
Yeah, for sure. So probably it's important to understand that one of the decisions we took up front with Office 365 is that we wanted all of the services left on. And that was a little bit daunting for a lot of our people to understand, both IT, but also even up through our management layers as well. It's like, what, you're going to have all these services just turned on? It's like, yeah, absolutely. We really wanted our users to start to use some of this stuff straight out of the box. Yeah. We didn't want to do any customization. But there was a caveat that we put on that. We said, look, we're going to have this idea of core and accessory, and those were just the terms that we used. And we said, right, here's your core, Exchange, SharePoint. We're migrating all of this content. We're going to support you end-to-end in that experience. But all of the other set, we're going to group as accessory. And we're going to say, you go for it. You go and experience them, you check them out. You can actively put data in it. It's all covered by the Office 365 framework, so we don't mind. But you're going to have to rely on using community-based support. Turn to the colleague next to you. Use Yammer, where we've got a group that is there to respond to questions and queries you may have. And so now coming back to your question, what we're now looking to do is sort of take some of those accessory items and make them core. And so the big push that we're about to do, and it's right at the end of this week, is we're now going to take Office 365 groups and make it core. So with that, we bring in, obviously, Planner, Teams will go live as well, and we're going to bring all of those services together on Yammer as well, and make them available and support them end to end. And we've backed that. I mentioned our employee digital workplace team. They've got all of the messaging around when to use what. Because now you've got two types of Office 365 groups. You've got your Outlook connected one, and you've got your Yammer connected one. What's the best way to work in those environments? What's the right scenario when I choose Yammer over Outlook, for example? And then, of course, you throw Teams into the mix. We've had to make sure that we get the messaging right. We go live with that next week.
Awesome. So Andrew, John, too, what's up next with TalkTalk?
So I think we're a couple of kind of overlapping phases of work going on at the moment. So very much the moment is finishing what we started in terms of meeting the demand for the business. So switching on Power BI, Delve, Sway, Teams is the next big one for us. We're just moving out of pilot now and want to start actually putting Teams out in the business because there's a massive demand for that actually. We need to start addressing that, otherwise we run the risk of shadow IT and people going out and finding their own tools and their own ways of working. So Teams is massive for us. We're just in the process of migrating our intranet to SharePoint 365, which would allow us to start taking the power of Yammer and other tools and capabilities. We do some interoperability with Cisco and telepresence because actually we have a big Cisco estate. We can't get over the fact we do, so we want to do some interoperability, particularly as part of our flexible working. Below that, there's a layer of work starting to look at some of the experts starting to say, well, how do you actually get the most out of what you've got? So, for example, the procurement team who run massive RFPs, being able to get them used to doing multi-author editing of documents, rather than one poor person having to consolidate 20 people's responses, and actually starting to say, now you've got these tools, did you know? And we ran a session a few weeks ago where we got some experts in and we just invited people from the business could sign up for the whole day or sections of it, just come along and learn little tips and tricks, how to get the best out of stuff. So we've done that, and I think as John will probably cover in a minute, the next big thing for us is start to look, say, how do we move to enterprise voice? E5, enterprise voice is key.
Interested to hear.
Yeah, so like Andrew said, there's several work streams here. There's obviously decommissioning, we want to make sure we get the full value out of our E3 as well.
Yeah.
Because I think lots of companies are historically quite bad at actually realizing the full value of a product like this. You know, you deploy a little bit and then you kind of forget about the rest. So we want to make sure we consume it. We've got it, we're paying for it, let's use it. I think E5 very much fits into that as well. So really from a security perspective, very much looking at ATP, safe links, try and stop some of those zero-day malware attacks. I think for me, ATP is a really, really important technology to get in. But it needs to be sold in the right way because there is that visible delay when you get an attachment and people are immediately going to complain. You know, even though email is not a real-time communication tool, they're still going to whinge. So we need to get the message right because it does add value. And then a lot of stuff around EV. You know, we want to move our corporate telephony up to 365 voice as well. So they're the next big things for me.
Awesome, awesome. So as we turn to questions, just a few minutes, last couple of points you want to make, maybe in summary, if anybody wants to offer up any advice to the audience here as we kind of finish the panel and go to questions.
Just real quick. I think, first of all, you heard none of us talk about Office applications today because to us, that's kind of core, just stuff. It's all this other stuff that our environments are doing, and I think that's been the interesting part. For us, I would say there's two big things that we got out of this, learned and got out of it. One, of course, is the FastTrack team. They've been great for us. We didn't, we thought it was going to cost us a fortune coming into this implementation. Turns out we were already paying for FastTrack. So it's free. It's free. We all said it was free. It's free. And you really should use it because it's really useful when you get down to it. The other thing for a big one for us, and you started talking about ATP, is security. I really never looked at Microsoft as a security company before. But as we started getting into the O365 platform and they started talking to us about, ATP and, what Intune does, and now we have built-in multi-factor authentication, conditional accesses, and these kinds of things. So our security team isn't yelling at us about being in the cloud, believe it or not, because they yell at us about everything. So just a couple things.
Awesome, thanks, Cliff.
So I mean, I'd certainly reinforce the whole FastTrack story. I mean, when it started for us, it was just Office 365, and I mean, it was very limited to mailbox move. You couldn't even do SharePoint site moves at the time. And it's really just transformed. So I'd really reinforce what Rich is saying. Look at it. It covers a lot more products now and a lot more services. And it goes beyond the migration to more as well around adoption as well. So keep that in mind. The other point I'd just reinforce, and I think all of us have touched on it as well, is really putting the user, putting your employees at the center. Think of how you want to take that message to them. You really want them to embrace this. They're being asked to do a lot more with a lot less resources themselves. And if you can sort of lessen their load by giving them the right tool set and the right know-how on how to use that tool set to get the most out of it, I think it's probably one of the key things you should think about.
Cool. Absolutely. That one is the number one for me, is put the colleague at the heart of everything you do. And that's what we took. When we talked about it, we'd never ever mentioned about the nuts and bolts and the numbers and the technology. When we spoke to our colleagues, we talked about the service and what's in it for you. And I think that, with it being an HR-led program, meant that you kind of got that almost away from that stigma of technology doing that to us, which was really key. I think the second thing we did, which was brave because it took a lot of pushback from the business, was we stuck to our guns about we are only doing these 4 core workloads and we're going to do them. We're going to do really, really well. And that then, once that's the foundation, we can start to layer more things on that. We hummed and hawed at times about, do we bring in a few things? Do we do this core, non-core? And we're like, actually no, because we think we need to do this, do that last bit well. And I think the last take one, you just touched on it a minute ago, Rich, was there about, and we almost learned this the hard way. I think we just about pulled it back at the last minute, was engage security in day one. Security have the ability to kill all of this for you really quickly. Their favorite word is no, followed by but. And then you got to explain. Then you kind of have to explain why you want to do it. They don't typically start from a position of yes, that's okay. They start from no. Now tell me why I should allow you to do this. And actually, we had security, and poor John, sometimes 2-3 hours a day, every day of the week on the phone to security.
So
going
much
for,
time.
here's the list of questions we came up with last night. I've answered this. Next morning, here's last night's questions, and so on and so on and so on like that.
It's over and
So
over.
and actually, the thing we learned really quickly with that was use your Microsoft account team,
Yeah.
use your TAM, use your account manager.
Yeah.
Right.
They know how to answer these questions far, far easier than
Yeah,
we do.
yeah,
And we
yeah.
fell into that trap quite early on of trying to answer them and going, this is crazy. Just like,
Hey.
like security, meet Microsoft. Microsoft meet security.
Right.
Go knock yourselves out.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I think what we benefited from as well was having another partner who assisted us.
Yeah.
And I think our security guys were initially a bit apprehensive when it was a Microsoft guy telling them how great Microsoft security is. But when it was a third party, it almost has more credibility.
Credibility, yeah.
You know, even though they're telling you exactly the same story.
Right.
So I think that helped. But also I think there's a massive reliance on a huge amount of comms. My big suggestion is don't write it yourself.
Yeah.
There is a huge amount of data that FastTrack can provide that's publicly available, that the production quality is brilliant. And you know,
just
there's
leverage it.
so many little bits. Just take it and use it and plagiarize the hell out of it and tweak it, you know, but make the most out of that. Don't spend all that time and effort doing it yourself.
And actually,
Awesome.
actually, I was say taking our security team to the data center in Dublin. Just
that
purely
was
that whole
nice.
thing is like getting them seeing that here's a data center, it's massive. You know, there's one tank in the world that can break into this data center, and that's just a prototype. They just felt more at ease. They had in their mind that our server room, which is running Exchange, was somehow more secure than the Microsoft data center. And the moment you took them to the data center, they just kind of like, oh wow, it's
You
really
should invite them to
secure.
Ignite next time.
Honestly, that knocked down so many walls getting them out there. It was not literally, but
Just not down the fact that it was Dublin helped as well, but
Okay.
you know,
That's for sure. All right, cool. Let's turn to Q&A. So we want to open this up here for questions. There's some mics set up, and also want to point out we do have some swag for questions that we'd love to send around to those of you who are interested. The line is forming, so go right ahead.
God.
Thank you very much for the insight. My questions are geared more around like from the client side. I know it sounds like everyone kind of the largest project here was a move from Exchange on-prem to Exchange online. How did you manage the upgrade of the Office MSI client? I'm assuming you were Office 2016, 13 fat client on the client. Did you, as you rolled out, just kind of kept to the MSI connected to the back end, or did you just kind of swap out the machine with Office 365 Pro Plus on it? Talk a little bit about that from the mechanics of the client.
Who wants to take it?
John?
Why does everyone look at me all of a sudden?
I mean, the only thing I can say is SCCM. I mean,
I guess what I'm looking at
So-
I will add one more point. Like, I've got the add-in problem. I mean, not only do I have Office, I've got like 15, 20 add-ins, so I'm kind of like figuring out, okay, is a wipe and load better? Did you guys do the wipe and load? Or,
So essentially, this was part of our biggest problem. I really wanted to deploy in parallel because I think you get a lot of benefits from Office 365 when you move to Office 2016, and we were still on Office 2010. The problem is that just wasn't realistic in the time frame. We have found that there are problems between the MSI and click-to-run versions of Office, where if you do a normal uninstall of Office 2010, the click-to-run doesn't take properly, and the only version we license for is click-to-run. So our only option at the moment is a total obliteration of Office using the scripts from Microsoft, and then a reinstall of the click-to-run. And it's made harder by the fact that our users aren't local admins either. So again, we need SCCM and Altris to get that package out to the users. But yeah, that's how I had to do it. They will get Office 2016. We're doing a Windows 10 refresh. So that automatically, when they get a new PC, they'll come. But any legacy upgrades have to be done like that.
And for us, we started at a time when it was only Office 2013 at the time, so 2016 wasn't in play. But we still had to do the upgrade. We were going from 2010 to 2013. We took the choice at the time to stay with MSI. Click-to-Run just wasn't mature enough at that stage. The other factor to consider is that with Click-to-Run, you take all of the updates. You can't just pull a KB out. And so to touch on your add-ons, most of those add-ons probably come from another application. That application we found often had some coexisting issues. So if we couldn't pull a KB out of the update, that was going to nail that application.
We've had a few challenges where some of the finance team have quite complex macros in Excel and things like that, and the macro that worked this morning now doesn't, or yesterday doesn't work this morning because something's come down overnight and breaking a macro, and we've had to address the fact that these things happen, and we just, if we're going to be in that evergreen world of click-to-run, we just have to accept those things happen.
Cool. Let's keep going for other questions if we can.
how are you guys taking your businesses from the fat client-centric kind of mentality of old to the web-centric new Microsoft? I mean, what's that adoption look like for your businesses?
Okay, so for us, we're still really pushing the Office, 365 Office Pro Plus as sort of the key client experience. But we're trying to encourage people to look at the browser, but even more so the mobile. We think the mobile experiences that are coming out now are just fantastic. And so even using something like Word, Excel, and PowerPoint on the go on your iPad, your iPhone, or an Android device is the best experience we feel when you're on the run. Browser for me is somewhat secondary, but at the same time, you're seeing a lot of updates. You'll see a browser experience change every month for most of the workloads.
We've done similar.
Yeah.
We've really focused on sort of particularly the mobile experience. As we move towards flexible working and different ways of working, the focus has been about the on-the-go side. You're not tied to sitting on your PC. Because whether it's browser or PC, you're still having to be tied to a PC. The fact you can do it on your phone, your tablet, whatever. We've really focused on that. I think the browser experience will come in time. We're going back to that approach of trying to do it well and not trying to do too much. And that's why we focus on mobile experience first.
Cool. Thank you. Other question? Oh, sorry, over here. I didn't see the third mic. And we'll come back.
Hi guys. How are you ensuring Skype QoS? We're having kind of a trouble there because we have Cisco and Avaya infrastructure. We actually migrating from there, but we are actually living with the three technologies at the moment. But we're having trouble with Skype, especially with video calls and audio calls. It doesn't seem to be tagging correctly all the Skype calls and it drops. So how are you doing it?
Yeah, so I've got a fantastic answer for that question. We're not. Yeah.
So I could have answered that question, really.
We all could have done that. Yeah, it's a challenge, and especially when you're going out over the internet. I mean, you can put quals on your network, but no, essentially we're not, and similar problems. And I guess a lot of it, we benefit from the fact that we're purely UK company based in a Dublin data center in Microsoft. We're not global, so we don't have problems with tenants, and clients in other locations. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't have a great answer for you.
Like I said, I will add one thing that there was an education piece for some of our people that when they were working remotely, they didn't need to fire up their VPN. Because what we found at first was they were so used to firing up their VPN when they were working from home, they're firing up their VPN, then firing up Skype for Business. So the data's getting double encrypted, which was having some challenges on quality, screen sharing, that kind of thing. And actually, by doing this, actually the amount of VPN traffic we get has dropped massively. And actually, we learned that. I think as tech guys, we realised that we forgot to tell that to our people. So we'd have to go back and say, when you're working from home, don't use VPN. And miraculously, the issues people have with some of the Skype stuff disappeared quite quickly.
Cool. All right, let's keep going. Question?
My question is from adoption and governance point of view. The information, the features from Microsoft Office 365 come in a storm. Like it's hard to keep up what's coming on. And you're enabling this to your entire organization, like tens of thousands, in some cases hundreds of thousands of users. How do you govern them? Like, where do you find the balance in between? I mean, two questions. For how do you govern them? And then the second is, where do you see the balance in between adoption and the governance?
So I think
Do you mean govern the changes or
just how you use them?
Yeah, how do they use them exactly?
So I think
how do you govern security and controls?
We've got a couple of ways we've tackled that. Firstly is the core and non-core. So we've gone, here are the 4 core things, and if people now want other things, we're switching them on, but we're kind of like, they at some stage it will go from being unsupported to supported, and we'll do that. But actually what we found is the way Microsoft has started to structure things is, as more things have started to sit under Teams, for example, actually there may be 7 or 8 applications sitting under Teams, but actually if you get the right governance and control in the way you set Teams up, that actually tends to address most of the issues we get there. The reality of the fact is, because everything comes by default switched on, it's almost impossible to govern everything.
The other thing that we do is speak to your TAM and get the NDA roadmap. They will deliver you a roadmap monthly that has all the public and all the NDA features on. We hold, a week after that's delivered to us, we hold a review session with legal and security. Is there anything we're worried about? Anything we need to turn off? Obviously some of it you can't, but at least then security and legal are aware of what's coming down the line.
Yeah, so definitely support that. It's referred to as the Evergreen service, and it's delivered through the Microsoft account team. It's a great way to get some visibility, normally up to 90 days out as to what changes are coming down the pipe. In terms of the governance aspect, we use that content to then have conversations with other people internally, but even better, we try and bring our security team to that same meeting, so it's not a double conversation, and that sort of helps with some of that story. And then again, it's back to that core and accessory when it comes to the end user. Make it clear up front, what's core, what's accessory, and that's the best way to just hold that conversation.
You'll be surprised what people will put up with if you tell them it's not supported. If you tell them it's a non-core and you're on your own, they'll fall more open to bugs and trying to trouble fix themselves. If you tell them you support it and they can find a help desk and the help desk can't fix it, then you've got a problem for yourself.
Yeah, let's keep going. More questions. Thank you.
So mine's around sort of roadmap and adoption. I gather from the discussion that most of you guys did not turn on everything right when you deployed. How did you figure out the roadmap, and how quickly did you find your users accepting of the new services you were entering?
So we did turn on everything out of the gate. What we did, though, was back to that core and accessory story. We had to say to them, look, it's Exchange now, SharePoint's coming next. And we actually started doing SharePoint right at the same time we did Exchange. We thought, well, hey, why not? But again, it's just about managing that story a little bit. In terms of having all of the flow of those changes, look, some users embrace it. Other users will just be reluctant. But it's quite interesting to see, even within the team dynamic, I'm not talking about the product, just the group of people working, they'll often bring people along for the ride as well. We've seen teams transform just as a unit of body of work when just around trying to collaborate on something.
Our approach, I argue with my team a lot, and Deep is sitting right there, but because I wanted everything just turned on, and they want to control it a little more because they want to leak it out there and be much more prepared. So we've kind of taken a balance in between that and tried to put some stuff out there, like I said, about Yammer and some other things. But our first approach, to be quite frank, was financial. What are the things we want to turn off, and how much do they cost? And when at those higher cost things, of course, email first because it's the most expensive thing we have, and then started attacking those things that were productivity and cost.
We turned stuff off and then just focused on the 4 core burning issues that we had to address because they were causing massive day-by-day, hour-by-hour problems in the business. Now we're starting to come almost from the financial. What can we start to switch stuff off as we migrate into a single service and did it that way?
And we also listen to the business as well. I think the champions played a key role in this because they sit in so many areas. They'll tell you what they're hearing that people want. So things like Teams, just so much noise for Teams out there. And then we prioritize our roadmap based on now what the business wants because we've got the core services up there.
Awesome. Let's keep going. Last 1 or 2 more questions, and I think we've got a wrap here, guys. So,
sure. That's a great segue. My question revolves around champions and having them be outside of the IT sphere. How do you find those champions, and how do those conversations go? And then how successful or unsuccessful? How do you convince them, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah. So we use that employee digital workplace team that we established up front. And they started then, essentially feeling out the organization. They knew of people that were already helping out in other ways. And so they used that to then sort of establish conversations with them and say, look, hey, do you want to help out in a more broader sense? We also sent messages out through our business to say, hey, do you have people in your business that you see that look to be, somewhat technically savvy or interested in trying stuff new that maybe is a little bit unsupported? That's another channel that we used. Then we also relied on our Yammer network that we had established, Yammer group that we had established to kind of provide that community support. And we were seeing people that were chiming in or assisting other people, and that immediately said, well, here's a great person that we should try and bring to the table, bring to the forefront to help us out on some of that journey as well.
We created ours. We basically started running workshops saying to people, come and hear about what's coming in the future. We didn't say why, and then actually after that, people turned up, and you naturally found this small group. We've had about 50 people in our business who were willing to take time out of their day to come and hear about what the things Quality Systems wanted to do, and actually the group naturally found it out of that for us.
Yeah. We use Yammer a lot. Every comms we send out, the bottom click is to the Yammer group and get everybody discussing it, starting with what our teams put out. So.
A couple last things, guys. I know we're a little bit out of time. I know there's additional sessions for those of you. There is a champion session at 2:15 today, but additional FastTrack sessions if you want to take a look at what's upcoming. In interest of time, I think we're going to have to wrap. I think some of the panelists will be outside in case there are additional questions.
One last question.
Okay.
Don't mind.
Go ahead.
This is a little technical on the throttling that you mentioned. I'm just working on a migration. I'm like trying to get a reasonable answer for it. I've done a couple of migrations, and the Microsoft throttle kind of hits me bad. Like I have 500 kbs per second to 1 megabits per second. That's what I've received. Is there any recommendations for it, and is there a specific tool that I should be using? If you guys can answer from your experience.
So the throttling that I was referring to is on the Microsoft server side.
Yes.
So you actually don't have any tools that are exposed for you to change anything.
No.
You're going to have to work with, if you have a Premier contract, you're going to have to work with Premier to try and front that with a support ticket and say, look, we're just not getting enough throughput.
Right.
The other thing is use FastTrack. If you're not already using FastTrack, they've got immediate connection with network engineering, and that's how we tackled it. We said, look, FastTrack, we're not getting the velocity that we're not promised, but we're indicated we should be seeing.
Okay.
Why aren't we getting it? And so we then had those conversations through FastTrack and said, hey, you sort this out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Premier is the way to go on that initially.
Yeah.
I think.
Cool.
Great. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
That helps.
Okay. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone,
Cheers.
for attending. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Oh, don't forget the Red Cross appeal.
Oh, that's right. For filling out the
Session evals, everyone.
session evals, we'll donate $5 to the Red
$5 to
Cross.
the Red Cross.